We're going to go through some of the ones that maybe didn't go so well. I'm bringing on my friend Alex Myers. Myers, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Dan? How you doing?
Wow, you look great. I think that you might have the best lighting. You're in like a studio.
I have legit lights in here now.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. So I hope you brought the receipts like you did when you absolutely sullied the great name of Sam Snead. We are going back to the receipts are there. Walk us through some fraudulent U.S. Opens that we're going to not repeat this week.
Sure. Yeah, I'm ready to tick off some old golfers once again with some of these. I have the receipts. So, look, I've really been watching the U.S. Open since '99. So I'm going to go 25 years back. I'm going to go through it. There's a few that, I don't want to say they're fraudulent, but they're definitely borderline. They're not the U.S. Open, the typical U.S. Open that we
the United States
have come
Open.
to know and love. Right, exactly. So I'll start with 2003 at Olympia Fields. That's one where, so here's, I have a basic rule. If more than two players finish better than 4 under par, fraudulent. I mean, it's just too easy. It's too easy. So you had Jim Furyk and Stephen Leaney. Furyk was 10 under through 3 rounds. Stephen Leaney was 7 under through 3 rounds. Vijay Singh had shot a 29.
TPC. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it was a joke. So that was one for sure. Jim Furyk ended up winning. I don't want to take it away from him. He deserved a U.S. Open, obviously, throughout his career. But it's weird that he won that one, considering we consider him such a grinder, and that one really wasn't a grinding U.S. Open. The following year at Shinnecock, 2004, which we all know Shinnecock is, maybe along with Oakmont, the preeminent U.S. Open course. But this was the original. They let the golf course get away from
par 3 7th, right?
The par 3 7th, the Redan hole. It was insane. It was so bad. It was so out of control that on Sunday, they were watering in between groups during play. I mean, just kind of unprecedented stuff. But even the day before, it was so bad. Phil Mickelson had a chip that finished above the hole. He had a 10-footer for par. He said after he was just trying to lag the putt there, it went 30 feet past. He said he was lucky it didn't go off the green. He actually then made a great 2-putt from there just to save double bogey.
And then he got his revenge 14 years later by putting the moving ball.
Exactly. So had history at Shinnecock no matter what. But he ended up losing that U.S. Open to Retief Goosen by 2 shots, and you could easily just go to that ridiculous 7th hole. Tiger Woods even said, this is one of the best courses in the world, but they let the course get away from them.
Gone.
This is not how golf should be played. Dan, can you imagine if golf Twitter was around back then? It would have been insane.
If Scotty Scheffler said this is not how golf should be played, things would blow up.
Just absolutely ripping. So again, it's unfortunate that happened at Shinnecock, which is such a great course. But that was a tough one. So Mickelson kind of got screwed there, I think. 2009 is kind of a weird one. Bethpage, and nothing against Beth. Once again, so rainy. It was terrible. So many stops and starts and this and that. And Ricky Barnes at one point was 11 under par and 6 shots ahead. It was just a weird Open, and then Lucas Glover ends up winning by 2. Obviously, we know he's a great ball striker. It kind of makes sense that if he were to win one, it would be a U.S. Open. But at the time, it was kind of surprising. Mickelson, again, another runner up there.
Ben, look at those pants. What do you think of those white pinstripe pants from Phil Mickelson? They're skinny, too.
I love those pants.
You like those?
Yeah.
I wish they were a little looser, but I like what I'm looking at.
Yeah, they were looser, but I like that a lot. They're like boot cut, too. Look at them.
That was a choice by Phil right there. That was nice. But yeah, just a Monday finish. Just not the things you want to happen if you're running a tournament. So I'm throwing 2009 in there as well. 2011 Congressional. This gets back to just the rule. Too many guys going low. Rory McIlroy was 10 under before he made the turn on Friday at Congressional. I remember being in the media center.
Craig Ranch.
First U.S. Open. Exactly. It was like TPC Craig Ranch instead of Congressional. I remember being in the media center. I think this was the first U.S. Open I covered for Golf Digest. People were just laughing. He was hitting balls down the middle. They were laughing. The ball was splashing in the fairway. Again, it's not Congressional's fault. It rained a lot. The greens, you could just see the ball marks flying when the ball hit.
I remember on the 10th hole, the par 3, he hit one that spun back with like a 5-iron.
100 exactly. So on the final round, the famous shot, he hit one that came all the way back down the tapping range that kind of sealed the deal. Great shot, but again, you just don't see that at U.S. Open. On Friday, on the 8th hole, similar, hit one 30 feet long, spun it back into the hole for an eagle. Again, you just do not see that kind of stuff.
Where's the clown's mouth?
Where's the clown's mouth? It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So again, congrats to Rory. He won by 8 shots, not taken away from him, but it wasn't a true U.S. Open test. And that's where he got that whole soft course, rep as destroying the courses for good reason. All right, 2015 Chambers Bay. We all know it was Chambers Bay looks, by the way, amazing. I'd love to go there, but the greens were really bumpy. They had this POA mixed in with I'm not an agronomist here, Dan, but I'm trying to.
I'm a California guy, and let me tell you something. When POA gets involved, don't stop getting involved.
Right. Well, apparently, though, they've now switched. They ripped up all the greens. They're just all POA now. But at the time, they were trying to go bent grass, which we Northeasterners love, but it had the POA mixing in. Long story short, the greens were insanely bumpy. Look, everybody has to play it, but a U.S. Open, we all know you're going to face so many of those delicate knee knockers, the 4, the 5, the 6 footers. You need the greens to be absolutely pure, or it's just not fair, I don't think. It all came down to Dustin Johnson. He had a 15-footer downhill, did not hit it hard. It ran 4 feet past, and he bricked the comebacker. I don't want to blame DJ. I completely blame the greens for that one. It was a very unfortunate situation. Jordan Spieth was the beneficiary here, but again, it was just a tough spot.
Also, I think that was the first U.S. Open on Fox, and it was like Greg Norman was in the booth. And Joe Buck was on the call. It just felt a little college football, World Series NASCAR-y.
No thanks.
It was a bizarre one. 2017, I think we kind of differ here, Dan. Erin Hills, another place I'd love to go. I'd love to play. I loved watching the women play at the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago. But again, the scoring, I can't overlook it. The board was incredible. It was Brooks Koepka winning his first U.S. Open. So we didn't really know at the time what a world beater he was going to be. Xander was in the mix. Tommy Fleetwood.
JT was up there.
T shot a 63, which to me was a little shaky because then, it was, called Johnny Miller, then had to kind of knock it down a little. But anyway, too many low scores. I think 16 under wound up winning. Here's what was so crazy, Dan. The fairways were so wide that Brooks Koepka hit 88% of fairways, and he only finished 4th in driving accuracy.
That's insane. That's an insane statistic.
90% fairways. That's not the U.S. Open we grew up watching, Dan, and loving. You got to hit fairways. You got to hit greens. These guys could hit anywhere, and they were hitting the fairways. So
Shane Wyndham wasn't in the field yet. He would have loved that week.
Well, we're getting to that. Let me just fast forward to that one. We'll throw it in there. 2023.
That tournament was a shame.
You agree, right? Okay,
yeah.
So not only do we have the wide fairways at LACC, but we have multiple 62s on day one.
How about there were no humans there? There was no fans. There was like 9,000 GA tickets per day. It was like watching a AA baseball game at times.
Exactly. That's my next point. Low fans, low energy. And then again, though, you could kind of miss anywhere. Wyndham Clark, that shot on 18, the fade that he hit, quote, the slice, that's the same shot from a righty that Phil Mickelson hit in 2006 at Winged Foot. Phil Mickelson made a double bogey that could have derailed his entire career and obviously has kept him from winning the career Grand Slam. Wyndham Clark made a routine par and won the U.S. Open, so kind of rare. And then you mentioned the lack of fans, Dan. I have to throw 2020 in there at Winged Foot because Bryson DeChambeau won at Winged Foot. Winged Foot, of course, a great U.S. Open test, but after the 2017 Erin Hills fairway debacle, they went too far the other way.
Everyone missed it. Everyone missed every fairway.
You couldn't hit a fairway. And so Bryson just bomb all day long. Good on him. He was smart. He read the room. He knew what to do. He took advantage of the situation. But between that and the no fans, that's a weird one for me in terms of that. So those are the ones that I have as in the last 25 years, kind of the fraudulent ones. I got to hold on to some of these receipts. I got some extra reward bucks here at CVS.
There's probably like a $5 gift card in there.
There's a $4 one, and CVS, they only give you like 3 days to claim it. So I gotta get back over there soon.
No Oakmont for you this week?
No, I wish, and that's the one place I really want to get to. And that, to me, that is just the ultimate test. And, with all of these, Dan, we're talking about we want a tough test, but we don't want it to cross the line.
No, I'm okay with it crosses the line just a little bit.
You do? Well, yeah. All right. I don't think Oakmont really does it. I mean, although I don't know. I heard these The rough this week, it looks extremely penal, and those ditches look kind of crazy, but I'm ready to watch some carnage.
I'm ready to watch some carnage too. We gotta do that more often.
Word of the week.
The fraud carnage is the word of the week, and Fraud Watch is just an electric segment. Thank you so much, Alex. That was fantastic.
You got it, Dan.
The receipts.